You've had moments where the opportunity finally appears, your heart leans forward to step into it, and then something snaps shut so fast it feels like you lost it in the space of a breath, not because you were lazy, not because you didn't want it, but because the window was razor thin and your hesitation was just long enough to turn a yes into a silence. And what makes it heavier is this: you can't explain to anyone why it felt so spiritual, why it felt like Allah put you right in front of a door and then watched what you would do with the next 10 seconds. You keep replaying it in your mind, wondering if you're being punished or guided, if you're forgotten or being prepared. But deep down, you already sense something that scares you a little. The test wasn't the door opening. The test was whether you would move when fear dressed itself up as caution. That tension you feel isn't random. It's the pressure of two realities meeting inside you at once: your desire for ease and your knowledge that Allah's plans often arrive wrapped in difficulty. You want a clear sign, a comfortable confirmation, a guarantee that you won't be embarrassed or harmed. Yet the very nature of tawakkul is moving forward while you don't have all the proof you crave. So, you stand at the edge of a decision, and your mind becomes loud, listing every possible consequence, every past disappointment, every time you tried and it didn't work. Meanwhile, your soul recognizes a familiar pattern. The more meaningful the step, the more it is surrounded by noise. You can feel unseen resistance, not always in dramatic ways, but in the subtle weight that presses down right before you act. A sudden doubt, a convenient distraction, a small delay that feels harmless until you realize the moment is gone. And sometimes it is that resistance wears a human face. Not monsters, not cartoon villains, just people who smile while quietly hoping you stay small. The coworker who praises you in public but plants uncertainty in private. The friend who jokes about your goals, always just kidding, yet never once truly celebrates your growth. The relative who insists they want the best for you, but only if the best still fits their comfort. Hidden enemies aren't always people plotting your downfall. Often they are simply people who benefit from you doubting yourself. And when you begin to rise, their influence becomes more noticeable, not because you suddenly became paranoid, but because Allah sharpens your perception when you're nearing a turning point. You start hearing what's behind the words, sensing what's missing from the support, noticing the way your energy dips after certain conversations. It's not a call to hate anyone, it's a call to be awake. But the hardest part is loneliness, the kind that doesn't come from being physically alone, but from realizing you can't carry everyone into the future you're being pushed toward. Some of your steps will be misunderstood, some of your discipline will be judged, some of your silence will be interpreted as arrogance when it is actually self-preservation. There are seasons when Allah removes the crowd so you can hear the quiet instructions you've been ignoring. It feels cold at first, like being left behind, like being the one nobody checks on. Yet, in that emptiness, you start noticing mercy you didn't see before, the argument you avoided by staying home, the envy you escaped because you didn't share your plans, the heartbreak that didn't reach you because Allah redirected you. If you've felt that strange mix of pain and protection, and it lands in your chest like a truth you can't shake, you can leave a like on the video, quietly, without making a show of it, as a small way of saying, I recognize this. Now, look at what people do with these moments. One person sees the door close and decides it means Allah has abandoned them. They become bitter, restless, constantly refreshing their life, like a page that won't load, chasing the next opening with panic. They start bargaining with Allah in a way that feels more like a complaint than a dua, and their heart becomes impatient, sharp, easily offended. Another person sees the door close and asks a different question. What was I being asked to learn in those 10 seconds? They feel the same disappointment, but they don't let it rewrite their relationship with Allah. They practice sabr without turning it into passivity. They take responsibility without turning it into self-hatred. They don't pretend they're fine. They just refuse to let one missed moment turn into a lifetime of hesitation. The difference isn't intelligence. It's the inner posture you choose when the test exposes you. Because The door isn't always about the opportunity itself. Sometimes Allah lets you taste the nearness of something so your weaknesses surface clearly. The fear of being seen, the addiction to approval, the habit of delaying until you feel ready. You might think your problem is the world moving too fast, but the deeper problem is that your heart has been trained by past pain to move too slow. The breakthrough doesn't always require more talent. It requires a cleaner heart, the kind of heart that can act without needing applause, that can make a hard phone call without rehearsing a perfect script, that can submit the application without checking it 10 times to soothe anxiety, that can apologize without adding excuses, that can accept a blessing without immediately expecting it to be taken away. These are spiritual muscles. They only grow under tension. Picture a simple scene. You're sitting in your car outside a building, your hands on the steering wheel, and your stomach is tight. Inside, there's an interview or a meeting or a conversation you've avoided for months. Your phone lights up with distractions that suddenly feel urgent. You tell yourself you'll just take one more minute. In that minute, your mind drags you through every possible failure, stumbling over words, being rejected, looking foolish, hearing no again. You remember old moments where you tried to be brave and still got hurt. And right there in the most ordinary place, parking lot, steering wheel, breath, you're being watched by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. Not watched like a predator, watched like a lord who is shaping you. You either step out with tawakkul or you shrink back into the comfort of delay. People call it nerves. In the unseen, it's discipline. And here's the nuance that keeps you spiritually mature. Not every closed door is a sign you are special, and not every hardship is proof of a higher rank. Sometimes a door closes because it's simply not written for you, and your job is to accept it without building an identity around suffering. Sometimes Allah delays you because your intention is mixed and needs purification. Sometimes you're being protected from something that looks like success but would poison your heart. There are people who get what they want quickly, and it ruins them. Their character can't hold the weight of what they asked for. That is a counterexample nobody likes to mention. Ease is not always a reward. You can see someone promoted fast, admired fast, surrounded by people fast, and behind the scenes, their prayer collapses, their humility fades, their mind becomes addicted to validation. Meanwhile, you're still being trained in the quiet. Your timeline isn't a punishment. It might be a mercy. So, what do you do when you feel that 10 seconds pressure again? You stop treating your life like it's only about outcomes, and you start treating it like it's about obedience in motion. You don't need to become dramatic. You don't need to announce a transformation. You need small, consistent spiritual discipline. Guarding your prayers even when your mood is heavy, cleaning your gaze and your thoughts when you're alone, keeping your tongue from feeding the fire of gossip, waking up for a few minutes before dawn when nobody will praise you for it, making dua with sincerity instead of entitlement. These things don't look like breakthroughs, but they create the inner person who can walk through an open door without collapsing inside it. And I want to ask you something, because this is where many people recognize their own story. In the comments, what was one moment when you later realized Allah was protecting you by delaying you or closing a door you desperately wanted? By the time the next opening arrives, the real question won't be, will Allah give me something? The question will be, have I become the kind of servant who can carry it without losing my soul? The calm truth is that divine timing isn't interested in your impatience, and it isn't moved by your comparisons. It's aligned with wisdom you can't fully see. Some doors close because you're meant to learn to move with courage. Some doors close because you're meant to learn to let go with trust. Both are forms of strength. Hidden enemies may whisper, distractions may multiply, loneliness may sting, and your mind may try to talk you out of the moment. But the one who practices Sabr and tawakkul learns to recognize the weight of a turning point. And when it comes, again, you won't need a countdown to tell you it matters. You'll feel it, you'll steady your heart, and you'll move, quietly, sincerely, because you understand that the test was never the door. The test was always you.